Okay, I am here with Miss Avery Griggs. She is my best friend since ninth grade, I think. I don't know. We've known each other a while. And I'm so excited that she gets to share her story. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So, Avery, tell me your story.
So, my story is I grew up always around Christianity, and my grandfather was a pastor, so my whole family was really Christ oriented. Um, but I thought a little Jesus was enough. Boy, was I wrong. I struggled with anxiety pretty much all my life and struggled with depression. In eighth grade, I just had hip surgery. My medicines were really interacting with each other bad because at this time I had taken anxiety medicine, ADHD medicine, heart medicine, and then painkillers and muscle relaxers from the hip surgery. And so I was I didn't get any sleep the night before that appointment, and because of that my anxiety was super high, and so I was sleep deprived and just riddled with anxiety. So that night I ended up hallucinating that there were bugs all in my phone, like in my phone. Someone had hacked my phone, this, that, and the other, and I signed completely out of my phone because I didn't want it to get in my iCloud. And I ran to my sister and I said, Anna, look. And she said, Avery, there's nothing there. Like, it's in are you sure it's not your eyes? And I went to my room because I was like, I'm a schizophrenic, like, I'm psychotic, like, I spiraled like there's no tomorrow. And so, because of that, I ended up saying there's no way out, pretty much. Like, I was so scared and so ashamed. I ended up trying to attempt with a shoestring. After that morning, we went to a doctor for the hallucination, but I never told anybody about my depression. Like, I never like, it was one of those things where I was still like just so ashamed that I let it get to me. Then after that night, I still struggled with suicidal thoughts, but never acted on anything. Then in, what was it, 10th grade? Yeah, 10th grade, I started dating a guy that was not right for me, and the suicidal thoughts came back harder. That relationship ended. I then, about a week later, a friend of mine at the time, he and I started talking. And then, so after that, the suicidal thoughts came back even more. Didn't think that it could get any worse, but it did. And it came back even worse, and I ended up resorting to self-harm to really concentrate those thoughts and to just kind of quiet them because they were so loud and so just overwhelming, and pain was the only thing that could get them to kind of calm down. And so I was able to get out of that relationship, and about, what was it, 3 months later, I was walking to a deer stand because in my family we've always hunted deer. Ever since I was old enough to put orange on, I was out in the woods. And so I was walking to a deer stand, and my leg caught one of my scars, and God said to me, you don't have to live this way. And so getting down from that tree stand, I've never felt so loved and at such peace. And I got down, I sold everything that was not for the Lord. I got rid of all of my music that was not gospel music. And ever since that day, I have been striving, living for the Lord.
Okay, so obviously I know a lot about how you've struggled with anxiety before, and I've seen that myself. Obviously, us being in the gym and you coming and sitting next to me with Shannon and all that. So, but tell us a little bit about that.
So, like I said earlier, I struggled with anxiety pretty much all my life, but it really started to presenting itself more whenever in 6th grade, so I was about 11 or 12. I started having panic attacks whenever I would take math tests because your girl was not good at math. I mean, I love math now. It's calming almost because it's organized. But back then, oh, it was bad. So every time I would take a math test, I would pretty much have a panic attack. And my math teacher at the time, her name was Miss Hall, love her. But she was actually the one that told me it was panic attack. She looked at me one time and said, "Does it feel like your throat is closing?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "You're having a panic attack. It's going to be okay." And Shannon, she really helped me through all that because she struggled with anxiety a bit, but that's her story to tell. And so I was able to start taking medicine for it. And then so whenever I was finally able to get it under control, the anxiety started hiding itself in different things. I say the anxiety, the devil started to hide it in different things. It didn't present itself through anxiety, but now presented itself through depression. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of Christians. They think that they've overcome anxiety and overcome everything in that department, and then they're kind of hit with, oh goodness, what do I do now? Because this is unfamiliar territory. And also going through this at such a young age. I mean, we were 13. And Amelia, you have the upper hand here because you were saved at the time. You knew you were accompanied by the peace of the Holy Spirit. And I feel like that's one of the most important things to have going through this. But I always had anxiety, and I probably always will. Our music director at the church, I told her my story and talking about anxiety and all that kind of stuff, and she had said, yeah, I had anxiety and depression as well. Hopefully she'll be able to tell her story on here as well, but it's not something you ever get rid of. It's a battle you fight every single day. And becoming a Christian, that is so true. Like that, I find out how accurate that is each and every day. And it's not that God hasn't helped me with any of that, but it's that it's still there. It's still a battle that I'm fighting, but now I know how to defeat it, pretty much.
I always used to say when I was going through, like, having really bad suicidal thoughts, like, I don't know how people without Jesus survive, because for me, there's no other reason than Jesus for me to be here. And so that's why I would be so upset about you, because I'm like, I don't even know how she's alive right now. Like, I don't know. I can't understand that. Like, how people even find a reason to stay other than Jesus. So that's amazing.
I think one of my main reasons to stay was my father's a big old redheaded dude, okay, if that tells you anything. But he's all, like, anytime we would but anytime the mention of suicide would come up, he always said, that's such a selfish way to go. That's so. And I value my parents' opinion about me. Really, like, it's extremely valuable to me. So it's one of those things where, like, I was like, I can't imagine what they're going to say about me whenever I die. Like, literally, that's what was going through my head. It was literally like, not only is going to crush them and Amelia, but it's also, people are going to say I'm so selfish. Like, they're going to say I took the easy way out. I mean, it worked. I'm here. Now that Jesus is in my life, I'm here. But, like, it was still one of those things where it was always a battle of, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Because I knew how not frowned upon, because suicide's not good, but how just selfish it seemed to others that didn't go through that experience.
Okay, so what is your advice to people who have gone through the same thing? Or maybe a better thing is, what is your advice to your younger self as you were going through this?
Accept help. Like, accept help. Like, it's okay to say, hey, I need help. And I feel like one of the main issues in society today is people say, oh my goodness, yes, if you have mental health, call this. Ain't nobody finna get up in front of a whole auditorium to go say, hey, I need help. No, yes, there are suicide prevention hotlines and this, that, and the other, but I feel like there are things that need, like the website and the podcast, to say, hey, this is what I went through. Maybe this can help you, because it's very anonymous. We don't even know who's listening. I mean, it's 110% confidential between you and God. and it's just between you and God. And you really don't even have to be a Christian to listen to this, because it's truly about how people have overcome anxiety and depression. Don't get me wrong, everybody needs Jesus, but I'm saying, like, there needs to be things like this, so where it's open to all and not just a certain select few. But I guess, sorry, derailed off of that really bad, but I guess my younger self, if I could talk to her right now, was just keep breathing. Like, don't give up. Wake up the next morning. Keep going. Like, that's all. Because whenever I was going through all that, that was one of the hardest things, was knowing, like, the amount of times I said, Lord, don't let me wake up tomorrow. And boy, I'm glad he calls me to wake up tomorrow, because I would have spent forever in the depths of hell. I mean, I would have spent my eternal life in the lake of fire. So it's really honestly a blessing that he didn't grant my wish, because when I tell you I did not want to live, I dreaded my next breath. And so I guess if I had a opportunity to give my younger self advice, is take your next breath and accept help, whether that's through medicine or through others or through prayer. Just let it come to you. Let those who want to help you help you.
Okay, so you mentioned medicine. That's something that I put in my bio, because I've actually had a lot of people tell me that they have been on medication. Some have gotten off, some have to stay on it. And I mean, I think that's great, and I've seen a lot of benefits from medicine. That's something personally I haven't done, just because I wasn't willing to accept that I even had a problem for a while. So it's kind of hard to admit it to a doctor when I can't even tell my mom. So, but tell me a little bit about your medicine, because that is interesting to me.
So, like I said, I got diagnosed with ADHD in 4th grade. And they kind of figured out that I had anxiety in 4th grade also. So I had been taking medicine since I was, what age would that put me at? 8? In 6th grade, got diagnosed with POTS. So that added on 2 more, maybe. And in 6th grade, I stopped taking my medicine without my parents knowing at the time. I would actually flush them down the toilet, like whole bottles of medicine, flush them down the toilet, because I was so I was like, there's something, like, I can't even function like a normal human being. Like, I was so mad. I was mad at myself and, like, the people around me. Like, I would get into, like, arguments with my parents, mind you, at the ripe age of 11. I would have, like, screaming matches with my parents at the ripe age of, like, 11, mind you. And I'd be like, I hate my medicine. And they'd be like, you need it to make good grades. You need it to focus. And it would be so diminishing, because I'd be like, well, why can't I be like you? Why can't I just go throughout my day, not having to take medicine, not having to just... It almost felt like it was a crutch, and it almost felt like I was immediately made weak because I took medicine. So Dad had said something, and I really didn't get it until a couple days ago, actually, because I was at my doctor's appointment getting a refill, and my doctor had said, God might not cure you, but he gives you medicines to help you. And so that really put it in perspective of the fact that this is today's version of the clay he put on the blind man's eyes. Like, this is literally, like, it might not be overnight, and it might not be instantaneous or long lasting, but it's going to help you throughout each and every day that he gives you. So I've learned to accept and love myself whenever I'm on my medicine. I'm not like a druggie. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, I'm not as sporadic. I'm not as hyper, because goodness gracious, was I?
I know.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. Literally, like, still, even if I miss a day, I'm just like, ah! But yeah, it's one of those things where it's a blessing that God's given us that, though.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Because I've had a lot of people tell me that medicine that doesn't make you weak. That is something that God has given these doctors the knowledge to develop that to help people make it through their life. And I mean, and look at you now. I mean, you're doing this, and you go and tell people about Jesus all the time, and you can use that as part of your stories. That's amazing. So, is there anything you want to leave us with? Any encouragement or anything like that?
Yes, I actually have a Bible verse that one of my friends actually started a devotion with me because I was in class the other day and I was like, I feel utterly and completely alone. Like, I'm surrounded by people and yet I feel alone. But it was mainly because I didn't have anyone that was a Christian there. Like, I didn't have anyone I could relate to and say, hey, let's talk about Jesus. I was surrounded by people that are non-Christians and or claim to be Christians. And so it's also another, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but whenever my anxiety got really bad, I think I started doing it in 10th grade. I would bite my lip until it bled pretty much. And I have scars on my lips from that. But I started doing that again, and I was like, we're going down this road. I've been down this road before, and I'm not going to do this again. So I went to one of my FCA leaders, and I said, do you ever feel this way? And she was like, yeah, I also struggle with depression. And I was like, oh my goodness, me too. But what a thing to bond over. So we were talking, and she texted me and was like, hey, I just want you to know that this really helps me. My FCA leader, Abigail, she was talking to me, and she had texted me and was like, hey, do you want to do a devotion or a Bible accountability thing? Those have always helped me. And so we just started a devotion about mental health and Christians. And a few of the parts I wanted to share with y'all, anyone's mental health can be affected, just like anyone's physical health can be affected. This is just as true for Christians as it is for non-Christians. And then you can be a faithful Christian and still struggle with your mental health. God is concerned about your mental health, and His word was hope for you today. So it's almost like the last thing was like His word is an encouragement to say, take your next breath. And there's also a verse that I claim is my new favorite verse. The one that I used to have is actually on my necklace, and I wear it every single day. It's Psalms 56:3. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. But now it's Psalms 94:19. When anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. I feel I relate to that really, 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 really good.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for being on here. I am so excited, and of course, you're my co-host now, and so I truly want you to know I'm so honored that you would do this, because when I first started thinking of this, I was like, I know who the first person I want on there was. So, yeah, but thank you so much. So, I love you, God loves you, and you ought to love yourself.